example, I was looking to work with someone and actually sat down and met with Eddie Van Halen to talk about production with him. And Eddie recommended Mick. He had worked with Mick. And said, yeah, you know, I had a great experience working with Mick Jones. I said, Mick Jones. And I wasn't that familiar with the personnel in Foreigner. I knew that they had these great records, and somebody was writing this great material. But I wasn't really sure who it was. I found that's this guy, Mick Jones. So why don't I just sit down and, you know, talk and see if we can, you know, figure something out. And as luck would have it, after 5 minutes, that was it. I knew I was going to work with this guy. And I like to think vice versa, because we just hit it off. I like Cold as Ice. I play it in a different key than it was written in. Mick writes these songs in these Egyptian keys. I don't know where he comes from. D flat and, you know, A sharp, diminished 5/9. And he's a guitar player. This is strange keys for a guitar player to write these songs in. Well, that seems simple to me. Now, I'm a keyboard player. Now, watch.
Sounds different.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. Listen. You never take advice. Well, someday you'll pay the price. I know. I've seen it before. It happens all the time. You're closing the door. You leave the world behind. You're digging for gold, throwing away a fortune feeling. And someday you'll pay. Yeah. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. And that ain't all, baby. You want paradise. Well, someday you'll pay the price. And I know I've seen it before. It happens all the time. You're closing the door. You leave the world behind. You get the gold. You're thrown away. How could you? A fortunate feeling. Someday you'll pay. All right, then. Cold as ice. You know that you are. Cold as ice. You're cold as ice to me.
To go back in answer to the constant question of this band, how it came about, the band was 100% formed by Mick Jones. I was his sounding board and benefactor.
When the Leslie West band broke up, that was the point when I thought, well, what am I doing? I better do something now, you know. I was sort of ready to sort of pack it all in, you know. And at that time, sometimes things come to you, you know, you feel when you're really down at the lowest peg, you know, you've either got to go further down or you come back up.
And I helped him because he was really talented. We didn't realize how talented he was. But he hadn't really done this before. And it's not easy to do, to form a band, pick the right people, and to make a lot of decisions.
Just the wealth of things that I'd experienced and the amount of things that I've been through, you know, I thought, well, I can't waste this. I've got to do something with it. And that's when the inspiration came to put the whole band thing together. Al was playing in a band that was, which it was his band. He was playing lots of ELP stuff, you know, Emerson, Lake and Palmer type things, and I thought, well, that guy knows how to play keyboards. Let's get him along.
And I brought my gear up to Bud Prager's office, who was the manager, and he had a little rehearsal room in the middle. And at the time, it was just Mick and myself. We had a black drummer and Jay Davis, who was the bass player. He was from Louisiana. So the first couple of weeks, all we did was jam. We did blues jams. There was very little music. I think we started working on Feels Like the First Time. And since we had a black drummer and disco was very in at the time, it was all very, you know, the hi-hat disco type feel, which if you listen to Feels Like the First Time now, it still has it in it. The chorus still has that open hi-hat. So we started putting songs together. The drummer and the bass player left. They thought it wasn't going anywhere, so we did auditions. We got Dennis Elliott in, and in the meantime we had Ian McDonald come down. He started working with us.
Ian Lloyd was making a solo record, and I was invited to the session, which is where I met Mick. Mick was working on the record as well. Ian Lloyd used to be in a group called Stories. Had a big hit with Brother Louie, and he must have known about my involvement in King Crimson, and he must have heard me play on the session that we were working on. I forget what I was playing now. I think I did some saxophone and flute.
I stole a ride on a passing star, not knowing where I was going, how near or how far. Through years of light and lands of future and past, till the heavenly gates were sighted at last. Lights flashed by, and then they were gone. And as old stars were dying, so the new ones were born. And ever on I sailed celestial ways, and in the light of my years shone the rest of my days.
Lou Gramm was somebody I'd met when I was in Spooky Tooth. He was a frequent visitor to our shows up in his area of New York, in Rochester and Buffalo. And one night he gave me an album at the end of a show, and I had an album with me for like maybe a year or two, and I didn't listen to it. And when I got to putting the band together and the whole thing was coming together, and I'd gone through about 40 or 50 different singers, I put this Lou's album, the Black Sheep album, I put it on the turntable, and I heard this, in about 5 seconds I heard this voice, and I thought, God, that's the voice, you know. And I called him down from Rochester to come down to New York.
So with just a backpack and a plane ticket, I made my way to New York, and in a studio with Mick and Ian, and just listened to some of the demo tapes that they were putting together, and reading the lyrics off a pad, and listening to the melody basically sung to me by Mick. I was put into the vocal booth and kind of proceeded to give it a shot.
Standing in the rain with his head hung low, he couldn't get a ticket. It was a sold-out show. Heard the roar of the crowd, he could picture the scene, put his hand to the wall like a distant scream. It would wind you down, but just blew him away. Stars in his eyes. Every next day, bought a beat-up second-hand store. He didn't know how to play it, but he knew for sure that one guitar, it felt good in his hand. It break level to understand. Well, one guitar, some way down low, some way to the girl. Only one way to go. So he's got a rocket. He ain't never gonna stop. He's gotta keep on rocking. Someday gonna make it to the top. And they are jukebox hero. He's a jukebox hero. With his one guitar, it puts stars in his eyes. Jukebox hero. Yeah, come alive tonight. In a town without a name, there was a heavy downpour. He thought he'd cast his own shadow by the backstage door, like a trip through the past. That day in the rain, the one guitar made his whole life change. And now he needs to get to rocking. He ain't never gonna stop. He's gotta get more rocking. He's got no fear on top. He'll be a jukebox hero. That's right, a jukebox hero. Yeah, jukebox hero. With his one guitar, yeah, come alive tonight.
Dennis I met when I went up to play with Ian Hunter one day. And Dennis was playing with the Hunter Ronson band at that time, and I knew that he had an attitude about his playing that really sort of was sort of arrogant and aggressive, and I really felt that we had to get together and see how arrogant and aggressive we could be together, and to this day he's still the same.
At the time I was working in a gas station, pumping gas, which I just came over and Ian Hunter's band dissolved, and you know, there was auditions, but I just wasn't interested in anything, you know, but it had to be special, and I went and played with what was to be Foreigner, and it was just great, you know, the stuff was just amazing, and I, you know, basically joined the band on the spot.
Ed Gagliardi was probably the first and most important thing that had happened in his life, you know. To me it was as well, but everybody was at different stages. We weren't working with seasoned musicians. We were trying to sort of create something new with unjaded musicians, perhaps, you know. I was the only jaded one in the bunch.
He played me Feels Like the First Time, At War with the World, and whatever else he had at the time. And he said, this is what we're going to do. And I auditioned, and they all left the room. And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. All of a sudden, the 5 of them come back with 3-4 bottles of champagne, said, Ed, welcome to the group. And that launched the career into the recording of the first record.
There were certain labels that we wanted to consider, and the end result was that every one of them passed and turned Foreigner down. I thought it was perfect for Atlantic, and this particular Atlantic was being run by Jerry Greenberg. So I knew we were right for them and that they were right for us, and I thought we had the deal, and then Jerry passed. That's when John Kolodner enters the picture from his side of knowing that this had some merit. He was a legitimate rock person. There aren't too many of those in our world, believe it or not.
June of 1976, I was walking by Jerry Greenberg's desk, who was then president of Atlantic Records. And in his secretary's basket, I saw a tape that said Trigger on it. Now, I had just gone to see a band named Trigger that I didn't like, but I hadn't heard the tape. I go back to my office, I put the tape in. The first song on the tape is the demo of Feels Like the First Time. So I stop and I say to myself, and what the hell is this? This is not the band I went to see. So I get up and I go back to Jennifer and I said, I have to see Jerry about this. So I go into Jerry's office. I said, I'm not sure what's going on here, but you have this tape named Trigger, and they have a song on here that sounds like a #1 record to me.
Jerry came over the next day with John Kolodner, and they heard the group, and then Jerry Greenberg said, okay, we'll sign them, you know, don't make it too tough. And
while this is in the works, the deal with Atlantic, obviously I and Jerry Greenberg informed Bud that there's another band called Trigger, which I think he was aware of.
Oh, you go through hundreds of names. This still goes on all the time, trying to find the right name. And everybody trying to say, what about this, what about that? Nothing rang true. Then Mick came in one day and he said, well, I thought of one last night. What? He said, Foreigner. I said, that's it. Done. Over with. 100% on target.
Me.
First music I ever remember hearing when I was a kid was my parents had a great collection of Les Paul and Mary Ford records, and I think maybe that was probably what, you know, turned me on to the electric guitar somehow. Just the sound that they had, you know. When I was with Johnny Halliday, it was sort of growing up in a ridiculous sort of rock world, like living with Elvis Presley almost, you know, but in France, you know. So I was sort of practicing in secret. It was my first gig, you know, and I was about, I don't know, 18, 19, and I couldn't believe that suddenly we were playing in the Olympia in Paris, and then the Beatles would come on, you know, and do all of 45 minutes, you know, which was their set. And one night the guitar strap broke and the guitar fell on the floor, and I uttered some foul English, you know, curse, and John Lennon came up behind me and said, "Hey, Wack, I didn't know you were English. Come up and have a bevy with the lads afterwards." And I thought, what? And from that point, you know, they kind of took me under their wing as the young English guy in Paris who was working with French people. And I just, you know, from the next 3 weeks, it was like one of those Beatles films, you know. It was like Help or Hard Day's Night. It was just like following them and jumping in and out of the cars with them, and yeah, and all this craziness. And I thought, my God, I want this.
Thank you very much.
I think my influences musically are a pretty good cross-section of the first British wave. Certainly the Beatles and the Stones, the Animals, and around that same time, I would say the Motown artists, Marvin Gaye, Otis Redding, Aretha, even, and maybe about the time that I was I put down my sticks and became a singer. I think groups like Humble Pie and Traffic and Free and Spooky Tooth had the most decisive effect on me as a vocalist.
Within Spooky Tooth there was the combination of two singers, Gary Wright and Mike Harrison, one with a very high piercing sort of voice, and then the other person, Mike Harrison, with a really kind of gutsy, low, gravelly thing, you know, and this combination of things, it started a new imagery, and that's when rock started to sort of get, you know, a little more, you know, kind of interesting in a way, you know, but with still keeping those very heavy undertones of riffs. The band Spooky Tooth had a following in this country, as sort of a cult, you know, following at the time, and we came over and sort of took a chance, you know.
I grew up in a very poor part of southeast London, you know, very down there. And I think my dad's always been into music. He loves to play, and really I think he thought it was my only way out of there, you know. And he started me playing, I think, 3 or 4 years old, you know. I've got pictures of me playing when I was 5, doing my first concerts with the band when I was 5. You know, became, I don't know, it became just too much for me. I wanted to play rock and roll again. And there was a band called the Roy Young Band, which is a classic rock group with brass, you know, heavy brass group. I spent probably 2 years with Roy, and then I joined Ian Hunter. Was that the next thing? Yeah, I joined Ian Hunter. Yeah, Ian was with Mott the Hoople at the time and decided to go out on his own. And we'd been friends, you know, semi-friends. And said, you know, I'm going to do my solo thing. Would you want to try that? I said, yeah. He said, well, we're going to be living in America. I said, so am I. This is true, you know, in '75. I said, well, that's where I'm going anyway. So he said, fine, let's do it. And we did.
I hooked up with a band called Beau Jest, who was a fairly big New York band. They had a fairly large following, and they were all older than me. So I had to have false ID and fake draft cards and all this other stuff made up because I was only 13 or 14. Everybody else was in their 20s. We played in a club in Brooklyn, and we went there in the afternoon for a sound check. And I set up my little organ, and next to it is this like cage with, you know, rubber bars, like a little jail cell. Saying, what the heck is that? I didn't know what it was. So later on, we come back for the sets. About 9 o'clock, I start playing. We start doing our songs and stuff like that. And out comes this woman right next to me in the cage with nothing on it but pasties. Now, I'm 13 or 14. I had no idea what this was all about. It really, I grew up real quick. It was quite the eye-opener. So she was, I couldn't play for the rest of the night. I was just like, in awe. You know, there's these things flying around right next to me.
See, the reason I play lefty is that when I had heard the Beatles, we used to hold baseball bats. A couple of friends of mine in Brooklyn, that's where I grew up. We'd pretend we were the Beatles, and they always stuck me being Paul. I don't know why. So instead of holding the bat this way when we put on the record, I held it that way. And when I finally went and learned how to play the bass guitar and guitar, I went like this.
I got a fever of 103.
all the details, but Ed Gagliardi left the band when they were holding rehearsals for bass players, and I'd heard this news via an old friend of mine. So what we did was we called Mick Jones at the rehearsal room to let him know that I was in town. You know, well, at the time, because I was in New York on really sort of kind of business, I didn't have a bass guitar with me. I didn't really have anything with me, so I had to borrow a bass off of someone, and I just turned up at the studio and walked straight into this enormous room at SIR, the production stage, and I'm not sure which numbers we played. I think we played Hot Blooded and Double Vision, just played through them, and it just felt great.
The rock drummers that I really like, they're both dead. It's John Bonham and Keith Moon. You know, Keith because he was just crazy, and John because I think he was one of the best rock drummers ever. And very, very simple. And that's basically the way I play. You know, very simple, don't do a lot of drum fills. I'm, you know, kind of lazy that way, you know. And I think that's what Mick liked about the way I played. It's just very basic, simple stuff, you know. Buddy Rich, I got all the albums, you know, the book, everything. He's just a master that totally influenced me as a drummer. I mean, I learned a lot of Buddy's licks. I mean, that's really where I come from.
We're gonna do a ballad. That's the new single off the 4 album. I think it's the only ballad we've ever done. It's called Waiting for a Girl Like You.
There was one song before, Waiting for a Girl Like You, that really dug deep inside me, and I just, again, I really didn't know what was happening, but I just had this incredible feeling that something was guiding me to do this, and I really didn't know what it was.
It was actually a song that that Mick had played me the intro and the verse section for a number of weeks, and I found it to be really appealing. And what was nice about it, it had weight behind it too. It wasn't a fragile kind of groove that he played me. It did lack the chorus, which we eventually found. I had a rehearsal tape of Mick checking to see if his piano was in tune, and actually while he was checking it, he played da 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 da, and I remember that part stuck with me, so I saved this rehearsal tape, and as we began to work on the song again, I found that little section in there, and he played it again, and it became the chorus of the song. We just inserted it in, and it made the song complete.
So long, I've been looking too hard, I've been waiting too long. Sometimes I don't know what I will find. I only know it's a matter of time. When you love someone, when you love someone, it feels so right, so warm and true. I need to know if you feel it too. Maybe I'm wrong. Won't you tell me if I'm coming on too strong? This heart of mine has been hurt before. This time I wanna be sure. I've been waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. I've been waiting for a girl like you, and a love that will survive. I've been waiting for someone new to make me feel alive. Yeah, waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. and a touch, or a word we say. Maybe only in dreams could it be this way. When you love somebody, yeah, I really love someone. Now I know it's right from the moment I wake up deep in the night. There's nowhere on earth that I'd rather be than holding you tenderly. I've been waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. I've been waiting for a girl like you, and a love that will survive. I've been waiting for someone new to make me feel alive. Yeah, waiting for a girl like you, waiting for a girl to come into my life. Oh girl, I keep waiting. I keep waiting. Waiting for you. I've been waiting for a girl like you. I've been waiting, girl, so long for a girl like you. I keep waiting. I've been waiting, waiting. I've been
For me, the milestone song that really left a lasting impression was "All Right Now" by Free. To me, that's the swagger and the attitude that kind of turned my head 360 and made me think that this is the kind of stuff I'm after. And Mick, being a riff guitarist, was just loaded with things that were equally great to hang a vocal line on, such as "Hot Blooded" and "Urgent."
you get around, you wanna fly, don't want to be on the ground and stay up.
My other favorite song of theirs would be I Want to Know What Love Is. I guess it's really just a beautiful marriage of melody and chords and bass substitutions. Just well constructed. I admire that. People always like, and they've liked all the way back to the days of Mozart and Beethoven, a good piece of writing, which is really what it comes down to. It's probably why someone like Mick and someone like myself has been able to survive different phases, different fads, different genres, different radio formats. We write. We're not just rock stars, or we're not just celebrities or, you know, players.
Hans and Franz.
Yeah, Hans und Franz. We write. I mean, the essence, the basis of our work is the composition, and that's everything comes from that. All the substance of the entire music business and rock and roll and popular music is from the song, and we have the ability to write. That's something that's, I think, stood me in good stead for
Old guys in the
career.
record business from way back will tell you to this day, you know, if it ain't in the grooves, you know, it's got to be there, and, and you know, and it's just how willing you are to go to that extreme length to find that thing that's bothering you, that you want to get out. That's why it keeps us up all night sometimes.
Got a